So this is $10,000, and this right here is also $10,000. Now this right here is clean money. This right here is dirty money. So how do I turn this dirty money into clean money? That is the art of money laundering. Turning dirty money into clean money, money you can actually use without having to worry. Now, more than often, when I make these videos, people think, well, Tommy, you are educating the future criminals of the world. And I kinda disagree. What I'm doing here is one simple thing. I'm trying to tell you exactly how these things basically work, so you know the risks and you also know the consequences. Because basically, once you know how this works, once you know what the risks are, and once you know the consequences, I strongly believe you're not going to want to do this. Most of you aren't, okay? That's the idea. So in my history, what I've learned is basically it is 10 times more easier to make money legally than it is to make money illegally. When you make money illegally, you have to remember all the lies you told. Basically all the lies you told. But when you're making just clean money overall, you can make as much as you want of it. Don't gotta remember anything, and it's just a lot more easier, and you also sleep at peace. So in this video, I'm going to break everything down. And again, the FBI is watching this video. They watch my channel all the time, and I'm fine with it. Because again, the goal is not to educate money launderers, but to basically tell you the consequences so you don't do this stuff. So boys, say hi to the FBI in the comments down below. If you guys are new here, like this video. On top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And let's get started. First thing is first, okay? Tommy, what is money laundering and why do people do money laundering? Well, let's go with the FBI definition of money laundering, since they love us and they like to visit the channel so much. So according to the FBI, the Justice Department defines money laundering as the process criminals use to conceal and disguise illicit proceeds, converting unlawful money, dirty money, into legitimate goods and services, giving them legitimacy and economic power. So the basic idea is, just for everyone out there, is using the money and all the profits they made from doing their illegal stuff and grabbing that money and turning it into legal money in order to have economical power, buy whatever they want to do and do whatever they want to do. That is money laundering in a teacup, okay? That's the basic idea of it. Now, why would a person want to launder money, okay? Well, for example, guys, let's say I am a bookseller, okay? Now, all of a sudden, by the way, this example is fake, obviously, so this is fake. So for example, let's say, for example, I'm selling books, and you know, the government just banned all the sales of books. You can't sell a book, you can't buy a book, you can't make a book. It's not legal, don't do it. However, people are telling me, Tommy, I want some books, so I'm gonna give them some books, okay? Although it's illegal. Now, I wrote this book and it's called Molly. You know what I mean? It's called Molly. And I'm starting to sell this book left and right, left and right. Now, all of a sudden, what do I have here? I have $10,000 in dirty money. Why is it dirty? Because I got this money from doing something illegal. And if I get caught doing this illegal thing, I'm gonna go to jail. That's the idea there. So, what can I do to turn this illegitimate money into real legitimate money? Well, this is where all the money laundering comes into play, and I'm gonna break things down step by step here. So the first way to launder money, and again, I do wanna make something very clear here. When you launder money, you can get up to 20 years in prison. On top of that, all of your assets are usually seized, meaning they're frozen, you don't have access to them anymore, and you have to pay that money back. So it's not worth it. It's like you do all this stuff, and when you get caught, you really get caught, and you get sent to jail for 10, 20, 30, not 30, the cap is 20 years. And no one wants to be in jail, not even for a day. So again, I don't recommend this stuff, so don't do it. That's what I'm making this video. I'm gonna tell you how these things work. So if somebody approaches you telling you, hey, let's do this, or let's do that, and you know exactly what they're doing, you're like, hey, That's money laundering. What you trying to do, you know what I'm saying? So this way you can avoid it. So here are the type of businesses you can basically use to launder money, okay? And these are cash businesses. So you have, for example, a laundromat, a barbershop or a salon, or even a casino. Now, why do criminals tend to go towards those businesses exactly? Well, because they are cash businesses. So whenever a customer comes in, how do they pay? They pay with cash. And the big thing is there's no way really for the IRS or the Fed to really track exactly how many people come into your store, how many of them tip, what they buy, and everything else. Because again, it's not like it's recorded on your credit card or a debit card and transactions. No, it's all cash, so they kind of make things up as they go. So let's use the example of a laundromat, for example, okay? Again, I'm selling my book, Molly here, okay? And the idea is, well, I have all this basically dirty money here and I wanna turn it into clean money. So what do I do here? If I start spending this dirty money, okay, and I have no job and no income, but all of a sudden I have money and I buy this fancy car, I buy this fancy mansion, I buy this, well, I don't buy, but I get this fancy wife. And by the way, the IRS knows, yo, you're good looking, but you're not that good looking. You're broke, so where you got that car, where you got that mansion from? Like, things just don't make sense, okay? So what do I do here? Well, I can get, for example, a lease. I can get, for example, an angel investor, or I can get like a job to make some quick money, and I can use that money to get myself into a laundromat. Now again, I'm in a laundromat, so people go there to wash their laundry. So all of a sudden, I start injecting some of my bad money into the laundromat's profits. So I start saying like, hey, instead of getting like 20 customers today, I actually got 30. Instead of 30, I got 40. Instead of 40, I got 50. And more money is going in. More money is going in. So at the end of the year, what do you have? You have all of these profits from selling my book, Molly, okay, that are injected into the laundromat. And then when I report it to the IRS, well, guess what? I pay my taxes, I now have my clean money, and everyone's happy. However, everything seems so good until it's not good, right? And by the way, same thing with the casino, same thing with the barbershop, okay? People give you tips. They buy, for example, like the detergent, they buy the service to fold your clothes, they give you, you know, like all that money, that's how they put it in there, okay? That's the idea. All of these like cranks on the casino, all this cash being cashed in for coins, that's how they basically do it, okay? At the end of the year, they grab all those profits, report it to the IRS, they get the basically to pay taxes on it, and all the money is clean because you have like customers to say like, hey, this is where the money basically come from, okay? That's the idea. However, again, the IRS, the FBI, they're not stupid people. So here is where I made my mistake here. Again, my business selling books, okay, Molly, was making me basically like around, let's say like 20 to 50K a year in extra money, okay? Not that crazy, but a good amount of money. Now, all of a sudden, when I got myself into this laundromat, the IRS had a record of over the past 6-10 years of this laundromat only making around 50K to 60K a year on a very good year. So when I get in business, all of a sudden, the sales, okay, of this laundromat skyrocket to $90,000 to $100,000. Now, either two things are happening here, okay? I am the king of laundromat, or something weird is going on here. So they do an investigation. And what do they find out? Hey, how is it possible you have all this extra business, but the electricity bill is the same, the water bill is the same? So what does this tell us, okay? What does it tell us? It tells us that you're doing something weird. So all of a sudden, I get caught, I go to jail for 20 years, and they basically froze all of my accounts and they took all my money. That was my mistake there, okay? That I used that money in that way. A way that a lot of criminals basically do is though, for example, they do a lot of extra little businesses attached to laundromat. For example, they might say, hey, we have vending machines here. We have a service to fold clothes. People buy detergent here. We sell flowers here also. We sell this here also, right? And then All of that stuff creates like this massive mirage for the IRS and the FBI, because the more layers you have on top of things, it becomes a lot more harder to prove that, hey, you've been doing this wrong. But the consequences are very real. And in this case, I go to jail for 20 years for, again, using the profits of my book that I wrote, Molly, to basically launder into the business, because things did not just make sense whatsoever. So that's how I went down. Now, the second way people today, the modern people, are laundering money is through cryptocurrency. Now remember, right? Cryptocurrency, blockchain, is fairly private, anonymous, easy. More people or more services accept it as a payment method. It's a lot more simpler. It used to be before, right? Whenever you're laundering money, you had to open up, for example, a bank account to transfer money from one account to the next account. But in order to open up a bank account, what do you need? You need to verify the funds sometimes. And you also need, for example, to use your identity so they know who you are. If you have a bunch of money, they report it to the IRS, and before you know it, they're asking you a lot of questions. But with crypto, is a little bit more different. So it used to be a lot more simple, honestly, with crypto, because all you need to do is basically, you go through an exchange, you put in your cash, you get the Bitcoin, and then you use the Bitcoin to either buy things or, for example, to get the cash out at one of the deposit areas, and that's it, right? But now, these massive exchange have to follow a few rules. For example, ALM and also KYC. ALM stands for anti-money laundering, or AML, yeah. And then KYS stands for know your customer. So it's kind of like, you know how now the big exchange is like, hey, they need your social, they need your address, they need all this information. So things have gotten a lot more harder with these legitimate exchanges. So how are people now doing illegal money laundering with crypto? Well, what they're doing is they're going in how do I say this word? What they're doing is very simple, okay? They're going to non-licensed exchanges beyond the power of the FBI or other people, okay? That's what they're basically doing. So let's say in Slovenia or some way in Russia or somewhere out there, right? There's this unlicensed like exchange. So I'm able to do it there, have the money back to me and everything like that, because basically, since it's not licensed, they're not following the anti-money laundering rules. They're not following the know your customer rules either. So that's how they do it. So here's a real example, okay? There's this guy, his name is Hugo Mejia. Tommy, why are you saying his name? Because it's public information. Don't worry, I'm not snitching on anybody. It's just public information that's out there. Now, Hugo Mejia, this guy was in California, and he had exchanged between Bitcoin and cash over $13 million. And this was proven to be money laundering. So the idea was people would go to him, people that made money in legal ways. For example, me selling my book, Molly, and I would go to him, hey, I have cash, okay? This cash has not been cleaned, if you know what I mean. And I go to Hugo and I say, hey, can you help me out with this? And he'll like, okay, that's fine. And he'll exchange my money for Bitcoin. And he'll send me the money over to my wallet. And all of a sudden, I have the money in Bitcoin. And that's a way to actually make it a little bit more legitimate. That is what was going on. But guess what? Hugo, he created a whole company, a whole LLC, a whole bunch of businesses. And this guy went as far as to actually advertise the business, create LinkedIn accounts for the business, try to make it as official as possible. But he made one mistake. He did not register for the fraud whole like account with like the government and so on. And that sent red flags, okay? And when that sent red flags, the FBI sent over an agent, and this agent went to Hugo and said, hey, I have $84,000 and I want to convert it into Bitcoin. And he said yes. And the next time he said, hey, I have this much money and I want to convert it into Bitcoin. But you know, they got a lot more confident. They were like, yo, I'm getting this money from someone in Australia, and he's using these coins to basically, you know, turn it into more books, you know, the Molly stuff, you know, my book Molly. And that's how he got caught. Now, all of a sudden, by the way Hugo made money was obviously through commission. It's not like he had $13 million, but he had to basically forfeit around almost $400,000. Just like that. He had to give up all that money. Now, my question is, not just that, by the way, he had that much money in cash. He also had money in coins, like real coins, and also money in silver and gold bars. And my question becomes, how does this guy only make $400K from $13 million in transactions? It just sounds weird to me, you know? So I'm guessing, like, you know, a part of me, allegedly, it just feels like some part of it doesn't sound right. And by the way, he only got 3 years in prison. So I'm guessing here, he had to give out a list of the names of the people that potentially were doing these services with him. And you know how that works, right? You give up that stuff, you get less time, and when you come out, you live less time, okay? So again, the risks and the rewards, they're just not there, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like the IRS, the FBI, they're not stupid, bro, so they know what they're doing. Now, the last way that people are basically laundering money here. And by the way, not the last way, because remember, right? Laundering money is kind of like an art. You know, people do it in various different ways. It's not just, for example, like cash businesses or crypto. No, it's a lot of different ways. It can be like a lemonade stand. It could be, for example, selling. No, it could be a bunch of different things. Okay, but this way is actually pretty crazy. It's through NFTs, non-fungible tokens, basically artwork. That's basically, you know, currency stuff, and art, okay? Like normal physical art. Now, what are people doing here, okay? Let's say you have $10,000 in fake money, or not fake money, but, you know, like illegitimate money, dirty money. And you basically buy your own NFT. Now you have the money in profit and you sell the artwork for trash. Now you have money in legitimate sense. And when you go deposit it, you're like, yo, I got this money by selling some artwork. It's that simple. And also through buying like normal artwork, whenever you see people, for example, they get caught by the FBI, usually they have 3 things, okay? They have a lot of cash, a lot of books, okay? And they also usually have art paintings, okay? You know why? Because sometimes, allegedly here, they have these deals set up with the artists in between them. And they buy all of these art paintings from these artists and obviously give them some money under the table. And then they use these art paintings to basically sell it. And now the money is legit. It really is that simple. And they don't actually track art sales like that much as it should. But now, you know, when you know all these things and I don't know all these things, basically it means the FBI also know all these things. And they're working on a way to basically help out and regulate this entire problem. Now you might ask me, Tommy, what's the big deal here? How does this affect anybody? Well, the problem is, for example, in Colombia, a lot of people that, you know, were selling books like I was, you know, the Molly stuff. By the way, when I say I'm selling books and stuff like that, that's a fake story. I was never doing that stuff. So FBI is just an example. Don't think I'm actually doing this stuff, okay? But in Colombia, for example, people are actually selling books out there. They were buying land actually. Okay, and then they were selling the land for, you know, like an equal amount of money or a lot of money. So now all of a sudden you have the land prices being exploding because all of these people are buying land. So it can affect you in that way. It can also affect you in the way that that money is not being tracked in a new way. But most importantly, the IRS doesn't get their cut, and that's like a big deal to them, okay? And I don't play with the IRS. And yes, I do believe in taxes, and I don't believe in doing illegal stuff because, again, the risks are just so high. And when you do these things, usually you're not like me selling books, right? So people can actually like get entertainment or whatever. No, you're probably selling something that's actually gonna hurt somebody or something crazy. I just don't recommend it. The risks are there. You get 5, 10, 20 years in prison. You get a whole bunch of penalties and fees. And this is like a big headache. And whenever you hear people like, oh, this guy only got 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, right? You hear that and be like, oh, maybe it might be worth it. Remember, these people usually are giving up a lot more things you basically don't know about in the public. And when they give these things out, when they get out, it's a different thing. So again, I don't recommend it. Don't do it. So overall, if somebody approaches you and tells you, hey, let's start a laundromat and the books just aren't adding up, let's start a casino, let's start a barber shop, let's start doing this thing with the Bitcoin or the crypto, just send me this money and I'll give you a little piece of the cuts, just buy my NFTs, I'll give you the money back, I'll buy this piece of artwork. When people are telling you these things, watch out, watch out, watch out, and be like, hey, I'm not interested. I'll see you guys tomorrow though. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. And also, again, don't do this stuff. Don't do this stuff. It's not worth it. See you guys tomorrow, though. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. If you want to DM me on Instagram, TommyBryson. If you want to call me, link down below. More content here. And by the way, this video right here is about 7 illegal ways to make money. And these are all ways that you don't want to make money. So watch this video if you want to. And up here is basically my face. Click it, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified, and peace out. Long-term team out.